Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be reviewing the S.H.Figuarts exclusive edition Son Goku and Gohan set. Now there were several other S.H.Figuarts SDCC exclusives, and I do have them, but I wanted to look at this one first because it's just probably the most interesting one out of the lot, and something I think fans wanted for a while, although I will say they probably wanted it with a different body sculpt and not with the standard 2.0 body. But the way a lot of these exclusives work is usually it's a repaint of a pre-existing figure with slightly new accessories or something like that. So that's pretty much what we got here, where this figure is pretty much the same on Raised on Earth Goku, or at the very least it's the 2.0 normal Goku body, with some new accessories that he hasn't had before or hasn't had in a very long time. So first up, this box is giant, and it is done in this style that a lot of the exclusives are done, where it's a monochromatic box, and I think it looks really, really cool. The actual shape of the box is quite interesting because it's almost a square, and it's kind of cool. It just feels way more premium, and it does go to show how much more is in this package than a standard S.H.Figuarts. But we're more interested in what's inside the box. So taken out of the box, you will see 3 sheets of plastic to contain all the accessories. So we've got the first lot, which is the figure itself, the alternate hairpiece, several hands, a small kid Gohan, 4 faces, as well as the alternate body for Kid Gohan as well. Then on the next one, there is 2 tails for the Flying Nimbus, as well as the Power Pole, and a weird sort of stand attachment thing for Gohan. You don't really need it, but it does kind of help for some poses. And on the last one is just the Flying Nimbus itself. It is a giant hunk of plastic, and it's an interesting little accessory. But taken out of the box, here is Goku and Gohan, and they are looking quite good. Gohan looks quite similar to how he did with the Raditz exclusive last year, although this time he's wearing his iconic hat from the first couple episodes of Dragon Ball Z, complete with the 4-star Dragon Ball. And Goku, for the most part, looks like the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, but he does have a few slight differences, key of which is the actual head sculpt, which is larger than the standard 2.0 body. So if I put him next to the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, you can see not only some slight color differences, but the head and hair sculpt is completely different. And the other differences are the actual logo on his chest. It is from an earlier point in Dragon Ball Z, and not where the Saiyan Raised on Earth is more sort of like Frieza Saga-y Goku, I believe. And it is cool to have them side by side and see where we've come with the face sculpt for the Dragon Ball line. And I actually quite like having a larger head on the character. It helps make the expression a little more interesting, and it would have been way better if this was like a 3.0 sculpt, but it works well enough. As for the Gohan, this looks similar to the one that we got last year with the Raditz, but it is a mostly posable figure, so there is a bit more going on, and all of the paintwork and detail work on this figure is nice as well. It's cool to see just a little extra effort put into these figures every now and again. Before I go any further, I will say that there is a bit of a color mismatch on my Goku. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but his thigh pant color is different to the rest of his pants, and it doesn't really bother me too much, but it just seemed a little bit odd. So I'm not sure if they were different plastics or they're molded in different colors, or it was entirely intentional, but just something to keep note of. But here he is next to the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, so you can see size comparison, the RG Gundam Epion, the Marvel Legends Cyclops, and the Jada Toys Ryu. Going into posability, we'll start with the Gohan. So he has got a ball joint at the head, which allows for a pretty good range of motion. His little ponytail can move around as well, and his tail can move a little bit as well. It is a soft plastic, but it can rotate around. It is a little bit weird though. He's got ball joints and hinges in his arms, which allow for an okay amount of motion. Not the best, but not the worst either. He's got a bit of an ab crunch, not really a bend at the legs. He's got a pivot at the feet, and his hands can rotate around. So it's a pretty okay amount for what could have easily just been a statue, much like the Gohan last year. And as for Goku, he is everything you expect from a 2.0. So simple ball joint at the head, looking up and down pretty okay. The bigger head does change that movement just a tiny bit. The arms can move all the way around, floating shoulder piece, swivel at the arm, bend at the elbow, and little hinge at the wrist, as well as a pretty okay butterfly. Nothing we haven't seen before. There's a ball joint in the upper chest. You can extend the chest for a better range of motion, but not too crazy. His belt can swing around and rotate around as well. He can do the splits that far. He can kick forward and back that far, bend at the knee, pivot at the ankle, and bend at the toe. It is exactly what we've seen before. It is the 2.0 body after all, and based directly on the Saiyan Raised on Earth one, which was pretty much the introduction of this whole mold, which has been used so much. And I keep talking about this mold so much, I am actually getting quite tired of it. But it still makes for a good figure. It's just that there's nothing you can really add to the discussion at this point. But yeah, it's a solid figure, and what really separates this are the accessories. So he comes with 4 faces, so we've got this standard sort of smiling, determined look out of the box, and I really love the way they've designed the eyes on this Goku, very early Dragon Ball Z, and the hairstyle looks really good as well. He's got an angry teeth gritted face, which looks super good, and seeing just these 2 faces makes me want a Kaioken Goku around this era. So, like, you could probably use the legendary Super Saiyan Goku body, have this as the main head and hair sculpt, and you could have an incredible looking figure. I would love it so much. I can't wait for them to do something like that. Then we also have a classic smiling face for Goku. This is pretty much the one that you're meant to have with him introducing Gohan for the first time, which looks really good. And then he's got a similar expression but looking to the side, and this is to replicate the pose that they do sort of like mid-episode title card. So it is cool to have. And then you can sort of do some classic Dragon Ball Z opening poses with these faces, with the windswept hair and the flying nimbus, and it's pretty cool like that. These faces are all compatible with the windswept hair. It is an interesting sculpt because it's not like an action combat windswept hair, it's more like it is being blown in the wind, so it is designed quite a bit differently. And some of the faces fare better than others with that because, like I said, it's not an action-y pose, or at least it's not a fighting pose, but it is a dynamic pose. So it sort of works better with the happy faces. But with those accessories, you can get a lot out of him, and I really do appreciate the unique hand sculpts, so the ones to hold the power pole are really cool. I do wish we had a power pole holding hand on both sides, but you only have it on the right hand and the left hand can guide it, and it looks really cool. It would just be nice to have that as an option. He does not come with Kamehameha hands, and that's pretty intentional because he's not meant to be doing that with this style of Goku, and I imagine that Tamashii Nations assume you already have one because every other Goku comes with those hands. He does have fighting pose hands though, so that is nice to have, and he just looks fantastic with these faces. He looks so good, and the bulked up head just works so well. I'm very happy with this figure. Using the stand for Gohan can be a little bit tricky, but you can sort of hook it around him and hook it onto Goku to secure him into like a position that wouldn't normally work weight distribution wise. Swapping out Gohan into the bent body is a little bit awkward because you have to take off the arms and the head and then slot out the rest of the body and then repeat that process in reverse for whichever body you're using. And it's kind of weird, but it works well enough. And the flying nimbus itself is pretty tricky to get working. There are plugs on the bottom so you can connect it to a not included Tamashii Nation stand, and it's a bit annoying because like the Kid Goku from years ago came with a stand, I believe, for the flying nimbus, but it was a way different figure then. But if you balance it just right, it can stay up on a flat surface, but it is also tricky then to put Goku on it and Gohan and get them to balance. But I managed to get it to work, and it is nice to have alternate tails for the Nimbus too, but I think the straight tail is the best, but it does take up a lot of shelf space, whichever one you choose. But they just look fantastic together. I am happy with how it all turned out. Doing that classic sort of title card halfway through an episode screen is very, very hard to achieve. Goku gets into the pose just fine, and Gohan does as well, but getting them together is a bit of a nightmare, and I sort of got it to work. It's not my best work, but like, they're there and Goku's looking in the right direction, so I guess that's close enough. But otherwise, I really, really enjoyed playing with this figure. Again, it is a body we've seen many, many times before, but this loadout of accessories is unique, and it makes for a fantastic showing for this figure. I am very, very happy with it, and I would like more exclusives like this, where it is very clearly a re-release of a figure, but the loadout is wholly unique and makes it stand out amongst other figures, instead of just like a straight repaint or a repaint that is missing a lot of accessories that made the original release great. But it is what it is, and this one is one of the few exceptions of making the exclusives really, really cool. I don't like it when they do unique forms that have never been seen before as exclusives, you know, like the Super Saiyan 2 Goku, but thankfully that was sort of like a one-off, so I don't think that'll happen again. But I like this sort of pivot in direction. And it is a really, really nice figure, and very easily the best exclusive they've done this year. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.